And I was just very thankful that as I lectured, you couldn't tell that my back was very sore when I sat down and heard. I had put, but this made such a difference, such a difference. So at first I was getting where the hot water bottle, but then it seemed to just inflame it more. But the beauty of this is, hello, I'm Barbara O'Neill, and today we're diving into one of nature's most powerful healing duos, castor oil and ginger. If you're dealing with stubborn scar tissue, painful joints, or even something as delicate as cataracts, this combination could be the game changer you didn't know you needed. Imagine an oil so potent it can break down adhesions and soften tissues, paired with a root that pulls inflammation right out of your body and boosts circulation like nothing else. Together, they create a natural remedy powerhouse that tackles problems from the surface to deep within. Stay tuned as we uncover how this dynamic duo works and why it's a must-have in your natural healing toolkit. As a thank you for joining me today, we're giving away 100 free copies of my best-selling book to our subscribers. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, like this video, and comment why you want to win. Now let's get started. Castor oil penetrates deeper than any other oil, and wherever it penetrates, it breaks up lumps, bumps, adhesions. It can break up a bone spur, and if you can break up a bone spur, it 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 can break up a bone spur. This can be part of a program that you might give someone who has any of those problems. Over time, the towels can start to get a bit thin, so we save the thin towels and make them into castor oil compresses. Lastly, you put the plastic backing. Now, what you'll find, I'll draw this on the board. There it is. So, with the castor oil, it is very, very thick. Let's say this is your compress, your package of several layers. Then you put the oil in about that much, and it'll be like a bubble. It's so thick. And then with your weight, 10, 15 minutes, it'll slowly soak through and come out that far. Then you'll put it on your hot body and your body will warm the oil, causing it to rise about that far. Whereas if you coat the whole area with castor oil as your body warms it, you don't want dripping castor oil. That's no fun at all. The castor oil compress is not a poultice. It's a compress. As a compress, it's not drawing anything out of you. It's a vehicle to hold the oil and allow it to go into you. The thicker the compress, the more oil it will hold, and the more oil can go into you. If you just rub the castor oil on, it's very sticky and takes a while to absorb. And it might eventually go in, but you probably have to rub it in for about 20 minutes. So the plastic on the back end just protects your clothes. And you might wear it overnight, fold it over, put it on the bench, and then tomorrow night, open it up and apply it again. And if it's feeling a little dry, put a little bit more castor oil and you'll get it tonight. As the castor oil compress works its way into the body, imagine enhancing its effect with the warmth of ginger. By grating fresh ginger or using ginger juice, you can create a powerful synergy. When layered into your compress, the ginger stimulates circulation and helps open up pathways, allowing castor oil to penetrate even deeper. This combination is particularly effective for addressing deep-seated issues like fibroids, cysts, or adhesions. The warmth from the ginger also soothes discomfort, making the treatment more relaxing and effective. Remember, the key is layering. Let the castor oil and ginger mix just soak evenly into the compress, ensuring optimal absorption as your body's heat activates its properties. Reapplies are needed, and with this natural duo, you'll feel the difference in no time. Truly, it's a simple yet profound way to support your body's innate healing abilities. So, I have an injury on my shin. I was running downstairs a bit fast, and I tripped. The point of the stair went straight into my shin. Oh, that hurt. Anyway, potato poultices and putting it up helped and healed, and that was fine. But let's fast forward 8 years later. For the last 8 years, my calves have been, what do you call them, automatic? I still always drive a manual, but I haven't driven one for a long time. And we got a manual car, so that leg was doing a lot of clutch work. And we live in the rainforest, so there are lots of corners. And many years ago, the car I had didn't have brakes, so I went through the creek and I learned to use my clutch and my gears. Every time I went around a corner, instead of braking, I just used the clutch. I would downshift into lower gears and then accelerate out of it. So I probably drive a little differently from most people when I drive a manual car. I rely on my gears a lot because I learned not to depend on my brakes so much. We got this new car and it's manual. So I'm using the clutch a lot. And then my leg began to ache, and it ached and it ached. And I thought, oh my, it's from using the clutch. So Marcus said, you need to drive the automatic car, go back to the automatic car. But 2 weeks later, it was still aching. So when you're not getting a response from your body, you start to think, what's the matter with this leg? My son, who is a remedial massage therapist, wears many hats. So I said, Peter, look at my leg. Anyway, he's brutal with his massage. He said he's had an injury here. And then I remembered falling down the steps 8 years before. He says he got scar tissue built up there. He said that needs to be broken down. So he's digging it with his thumb, and I'm just about dying. He said, breathe, Mom. Just breathe. I could only take so much of his treatment. And then he did it the next day, and it was even more brutal. And I said, Pete, he said, Mom, it's got to be broken down. You know, just breathe, Mom. So I decided to do a gentle one. I decided to wear a castor oil, and I wore that castor oil compress 24/7 because I knew the castor oil could break up the scar tissue. And so I wore it for, I think, 6 weeks, 24/7. And I wore the same one for 6 weeks. And maybe every 24 hours I put a little bit more on, and my leg had no more pain. It penetrates very deep. It breaks up scar tissue. So it's great on the abdomen for people who have had surgery, you know. And years later, sometimes they can get pain because scar tissue has grown. That'll prevent scar tissue buildup and break down the scar tissue buildup. To me, treosis, fibroids in the uterus, cysts on the ovaries, and polycystic ovarian syndrome. You wear the castor oil compress. And what's fascinating is how castor oil doesn't just stop it from breaking down scar tissue, it also soothes inflammation and enhances blood flow to the affected area. Adding ginger to the mix takes it to another level. When combined with castor oil, ginger's warming properties amplify circulation, making it even more effective for deeply seated issues like adhesions or persistent pain. For my leg, I could have added more ginger to the castor oil compress to speed up the process. Ginger's ability to stimulate blood flow ensures that the castor oil penetrates faster and reaches those stubborn areas. This combination works wonders for chronic pain, menstrual cramps, or even post-surgery recovery. It's remarkable how this simple natural duo can achieve what so many chemical-based treatments fail to do: restore balance and reduce discomfort without side effects. What I say to people is consistency is the key. It's not going to go away in a day or a week. And so what you'd make for the abdomen would be about that big. You do hip to hip, pubic bone to belly button. You do about that area there. And remember, the thicker the compress, the more castor oil it can hold, and then the more castor oil can go into you.
Breast cancer, breast lumps, and what I find ladies tell me is the most helpful is using an organic cotton panty liner. They'll put the castor oil in there because it's very absorbent. It has the plastic backing, and it just slips into the bra. But at the same time, you also advise sports bras, cotton bras, or bamboo bras, and no wire.
The wire blocks the flow of the lymph into the nodes under the arms. So you're starting to see, as we go through this, that when a person has a problem, you're pulling from the different laws, the different poultices, and the different water therapies, and then you'll have a whole program for them. So for gallstones, for kidney stones, for bone spurs, it's very helpful. You can use them to also be in a compress. Yeah, and they put it along there. And you can even buy or make cloths that have Velcro strips, and that's really good to hold it on. The castor oil will help to break up the gallstones. In fact, for any problem with the liver, the castor oil will penetrate deep, and wherever it penetrates, it cleanses the area. So for the pancreas, do it on the left side of the pancreas. So the lady with a really sore knee, because she overdid the ginger poultice, the next night she could maybe wear a castor oil compress. Maybe the next night a potato poultice. See how you can alternate your poultices. What about the incomode? No, not at all. No, it's an irritant internally, so I never advise that. I've met some ladies that have been told that if they take castor oil, their labor will start, but I've never seen it to be so. Can you buy a bad quality castor oil? Not really, not really. It's from the castor oil plant. When I was in Jamaica a couple of years ago, they said, "Can we get you something?" And I said, "Yes, Jamaican castor oil." And they gave me 2 bottles, this big, of dark brown Jamaican castor oil. I've still got a little bit of time. I gave 1 bottle to the health center, and I've kept the other bottle. It appears that when it's brown, the castor oil pod has been roasted. And apparently it is a little bit more potent, but we've been using just the clear castor oil that you're buying the chemist. We've been using that for years, and that's effective. I know an old remedy, they say, was taking castor oil by mouth, but it's actually not effective by mouth. If anything, it can be an irritant inside. Can you put it on the skin? Yes, you can use it on the skin. I know that people in Jamaica rub it into their hair, and it is so sticky. That's right, it's so sticky on the skin. But if you keep rubbing for about 15 minutes, it eventually absorbs. Why do you do it for the hair? It nourishes the hair. So it nourishes the hair. The people in Jamaica have frizzy hair, and it calms it down. Same types of oils are also used against hair loss. Yep. I'll talk about that bit more tomorrow. We'll discuss hair loss tomorrow, and some combinations you can use, and castor oil can be part of that. That is true. And speaking of hair, it's fascinating how castor oil works its magic, even in scalp treatments. Combined with ginger juice, it can stimulate blood flow to the scalp, nourishing the hair follicles and promoting growth. I've met people who swear by this combination, massaging it in twice a week to see a noticeable reduction in hair loss. Ginger's warmth activates the scalp, while castor oil provides deep hydration and nourishment. But the applications don't stop there. For joint pain or inflammation, a ginger poultice one night, followed by a castor oil compress the next, is incredibly effective. Alternating these remedies allows the body to experience the anti-inflammatory benefits of ginger alongside the penetrating and cleansing properties of castor oil. Whether it's helping with gallstones, liver issues, or even stubborn aches, this natural combination is a true gift. And remember, consistency is key. It's about giving your body time to heal. Now we're going to look at ginger. Ginger as a herb is well known for its anti-nausea effect. And if you go to the health food shop and get seasickness or travel sickness tablets, it's just compressed ginger. So ginger tea can be great for a mother that has, say, morning sickness. It just can help take the edge off morning sickness or nausea. It can also help if you've got an upset stomach to sip on ginger tea, and it can also help to boost hydrochloric acid. We've looked this week a little bit at boosting that hydrochloric acid, and so the ginger tea can certainly do that. Internally, it can be taken again for nausea, but it also helps to reduce inflammation, and of course it's used in the flu balm. I was at a function one day, and we had a break, And I saw a girl with a tiny little grater like that, but it was tiny. She had a teapot and she was grating ginger. And I said, ginger tea, because that's the nicest ginger tea. Is to finally grate the ginger and just pour boiling water on a teapot. It's my favorite tea. So do a teaspoon with a cup of boiling water. Now, if you find that too strong, you just do 2 cups of boiling water. Just do it to whatever you like, but it's really got a bite. And she said, yes, she said, I'm an entertainer. I'm a singer. She said, I was in Greece. I lost my voice. And a little Greek lady made me ginger tea. And she said, I sang that night. So she said, everywhere I go, I have my little grater, I have my teapot, and I buy the ginger. And she swears right now, if you go to Asia and have a massage, when you finish, they always give you a cup of ginger tea. Ginger tea can also warm a person from the inside. And if a person is very chilled and they have a cup of ginger tea, it can warm them from the inside. But you can also use ginger externally. And externally, this is the way to remember. Ginger is for joints. So ginger, and you see what I do? I was allowed to cut up this tea towel. It's still pretty good to me, but I was promised I could cut it up. What I have here is a sheet, and the sheet is good. As soon as the sheets start to get a little rip in them, and after my experience with my onion, I always will travel with a square like that. And the beauty of making poultice in the cloth is there's just less mess. It's no fun if you've got bits of ginger falling through your clothes. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the ginger poultice. And I always lay a square of plastic down. Now, cling wrap is very hard to control, so I fold it over and over and over a few times so that it's a little bit more controllable. I put that down, I put my cloth down, and then I grate straight into the cloth. Cook, and I like as much, as least washing up as possible. You could grate it onto a plate, but then you got the plate, then you got some of the juice stays on the plate. But if you do it lightly, straight into the poultice, you're getting all the juice. And the way I'm grating it now, that's the best way to make a ginger tea. Back to I'm doing a ginger poultice and all the little bits like this. I usually put in a cup and pour boiling water on that. My grandmother used to say to me a lot, she used to say, waste not, want. And so I don't waste much. So you scrape that ginger off. Now, when I say ginger is for joint, it's excellent for any joint inflammation. What the ginger appears to do is pull the inflammation out of the joint, even muscles, mostly joints. So here's our ginger, and that's about how much you use. That might be 2 teaspoons, and then you fold it over. I say we're folding over north, south, and east, west. So top and bottom, and then over to the other sides like that. And when you've made that, you turn it over. Now, can you see the moisture coming out there? It's quite wet, and that's what I like to do.
It's probably a centimeter and a half plastic all the way around. And what that does is that the plastic insulates it, and it also prevents spoilage of your clothes. You would lay it onto the area like that and check that the plastic's covering it, and then taper it on or bandage it on.
And when you've got your ginger pole to secure it, it works wonders for reducing inflammation and improving circulation. The heat from the ginger stimulates blood flow, which not only helps alleviate pain, but also aids in faster healing. I remember one man with a swollen knee after an intense hiking trip. He applied a ginger pole, consistently alternating it with a cast or oil compress during the day. Within a week, the swelling was noticeably reduced, and he was back to his regular activities. The beauty of these natural remedies, their versatility. You can use the ginger poultices for stiff necks, frozen shoulders, or even sore backs. Just ensure you keep the area warm for optimal results. And for deeper detox or chronic inflammation, combine this with castor oil treatments. Each complements the other beautifully. These age-old practices continue to amaze, offering simple yet effective solutions for a wide range of issues. Now, when I was young, I had a few injuries, as I think we all do, and I And I had a few injuries to my lower back. Most of the time, my lower back's very happy. But I think with all the traveling that I've been doing, it was very unhappy last week. Incredibly unhappy, to the point where sometimes it was very hard to even move. And I was putting the hot water bottle on my lower back, and that brought a lot of relief. But then I got to the point where it started to inflame it even more. And I work in the middle of the night, and I could not find a position that was not painful. So I got up and went down to the kitchen, found a grater fan, some ginger. I had to go to the cook the next day, and I said, look, it looks like that. Because I got to it in the middle of the night. And I grated the ginger, and because I didn't have any cloths, I just used the kitchen paper and put it on the plastic, laid it on my lower back, and then just put some undies on that came up. I had to hold it in place and then lay down on my lower back with my knees in the air so my back's flat onto the poultice. At first it's cool, but then it took about half an hour and my body started to heat up so hot. See, the reason why I use a hot water bottle on a painful area helps is because when you're in pain, it's almost as if the muscles go out in sympathy and they cramp. It's almost as if the muscles go out in sympathy and they cramp. Even though you're trying to relax, it's hard to relax when you're in a lot of pain. So what the ginger poultice does is pull the inflammation out of the joint, which is causing a lot of heat in the area, and that heat relaxes the muscles. And I got so much relief. I just fell asleep, and I slept for 5 hours without a break. And when I got up in the morning, my lower back was not sore. Now, as you can see in my travels, I've certainly been afflicted by many things, but I thank God for these natural remedies. And we know that this is a work that the devil hates. But I thank God that many of the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. The just man falls 7 times and rises up again. Is that right? And I was just very thankful that as I lectured, you couldn't tell that my back was very sore when I sat down and heard. But this made such a difference, such a difference. At first, I was getting wary of the hot water bottle, but then it seemed to just inflame it more. But the beauty of this is it creates a heat that will relax the cramping muscles, but it pulls the inflammation out of the joint. And that's the remarkable thing about these remedies. They're simple, effective, and available when you need them most. That ginger poultice not only calms the inflammation, but also allows my body to reset and begin healing overnight. Now here's what I found fascinating. Combining the ginger poultice with a castor oil compress can work wonders, especially for persistent pain or chronic inflammation. The ginger pulls out the inflammation, while the castor oil penetrates deeply to break down scar tissue or adhesions that might be contributing to the discomfort. I've used this combination on my back since then, alternating between the two. And the relief is unmatched. It's a reminder that when we work with the body's natural processes, healing becomes not just possible, but profound. Okay? Whether it's for a sore back, aching joints, or even abdominal tension, these remedies are powerful tools in your healing arsenal. So one lady, she had a very painful finger. It was like an arthritic finger. She said, I haven't been able to bend my finger for a year. And she said, it's always painful. Sometimes it's hard to get to sleep. So we did a tiny little ginger poultice, covered it with a little bit of plastic, taped it on, and we always ask God to bless it. Because, there are many methods of healing, but there's only one that God approves of, and that's the method that works with the healing powers of the body and uses the herbs that he's given for the service of men. The next morning, the lady came running in with this big smile. She said, look, one night, a Virginia poultice had just taken the inflammation out enough for her to be able to bend her finger. I have many stories. We could be here until midnight with the stories I have. And when you start doing this, you will have stories. And your story is the most powerful one, yes? So with the ginger, where does the inflammation go? And how can we get that out from the body? The inflammation appears to go under the poultice because of the heat. Now, if you can put this ginger plaster on an area that's not inflamed, and there'll be no heat. The heat only seems to, and that's why I have just come to the conclusion that it's pulling the inflammation out of the joint to the skin. And one lady said to me, Barbara, the plaster is getting so hot. I said, well, if it's too hot to bear, just take it off. Because even if it's on for half an hour, it seems to have an effect. One lady saw my lecture on YouTube and she put it on her knee and she was so excited. It got really hot. And after about 3 hours, when she took it off, she could move her knee and it wasn't nearly as painful. It wasn't totally gone. So she put another one on. She put one on in the morning, another one on in the afternoon, had her shower and was so excited. She put another one on overnight. And when she woke up in the morning, all the tissues were swollen and there were little blisters on the skin. And she emailed me. She said, "What have I done?" And I laughed. I said, "You've just overdone it. It pulls too much inflammation out to the point that it irritated the skin." I told her to laugh it off because her enthusiasm showed just how effective the ginger poultice was. I explained that the irritation happens when the poultice pulls out so much inflammation that the skin itself reacts. That's not harmful, just a sign that the body is working overtime. In such cases, I recommend spacing out the applications, maybe just twice a day rather than back to back. Also, alternating with a cast or oil compress can soothe the skin and continue the healing process. It's fascinating how these natural remedies are tailored by the body's needs. When the inflammation is high, the heat increases and the poultice works harder. That's why they're so versatile. You can use them for anything from minor finger aches to deep joint pains. But always remember to listen to your body. It knows best. This approach is why natural remedies remain my go-to for inflammation and pain relief.
That's all for today. If this helped you or gave you new insights, make sure to hit like, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe for more practical health tips.
Got questions or experiences to share? Drop them in the comments. And I'd love to hear your thoughts.